Good afternoon and welcome to TalkSports. It is our Saturday sports special. Very warm welcome to all of you who are viewing us, and it's a pleasure having you on our program. Oh, yeah. So on today's program, it's sort of open, but there's some other issues we want to look at, particularly as it relates to sports. One particular issue that we want to discuss is the enhanced games. I don't know if folks have been monitoring and hearing anything about the enhanced games, but there have been some strong oppositions, particularly from the Caribbean region, regarding these enhanced games. And we'll have someone who will join us later on to give us, that will give us some perspectives on why it is important that the Caribbean, in particular, reject the enhanced game. Also, the third and final test between West Indies and Australia gets going today. It's a day and night encounter at Sabina Park in Jamaica. Australia has already secured the Frank Warrell Trophy, the series. They are leading 2-0. It's the third and final. We'll also try to get in probably briefly before our guests join us to speak about this enhanced games, about the impending closure of a regional sports broadcasting entity, SportsMax, out of Jamaica. As you heard earlier in the week, that Digicel has announced that the immediate closure rather, of Loop News and the pending closure of SportsMax within the coming weeks. I think it's August 8th or something, so it's just a matter of weeks for SportsMax to be closed. And for those who monitoring the FIFA Club World Cup, the final will take place in New Jersey at MetLife Stadium on Sunday, featuring Chelsea and PSG. That's Paris Saint-Germain. Okay. Wimbledon Tennis Tournament is also concluding on Sunday. In fact, today we'll see the final of the Women's Championship, right? Rudy and Sylvan will join us a little later on in the program. That's my co-host out of Toronto. Yes, he will join us to speak about, some of what's happening around the world. But definitely lots to talk about, and particularly that enhanced games. Yeah, we really want to get the perspective right on the enhanced games, and what it. It's kind of mind blowing about when you hear about the enhanced games, and then you'll understand why it is important for the Caribbean, or why the Caribbean region is denouncing the enhanced games. Yes, so let's get a bit on just a little reflection on earlier this, SportsMax will be closing, and SportsMax has been, for the past 2 decades, 20 plus years, that SportsMax have been bringing a lot of live sports coverage to the region. For example, the Carifta Games, they have been the main broadcaster for the Carifta Games over the past few years. And then they bring, especially for Caribbean viewers, a lot of English Premier League, cricket, schools, sports, whether it's in Trinidad, Jamaica, etc. They have been doing that. So I'll just give you a little synopsis of what took place a few days, probably 2 days ago, I think, with two of the guests, speaking about the closure of SportsMax.
You, as well as Fazir, just a final thoughts on both of you. Fazir, you have been simply amazing on and a legend for me personally. When I started in this business, I had the pleasure of actually seeing you do live commentary at Sabina Park, and that really pushed me to being the journalist and commentator that I am today. And you have set a very high standard. Nikhil, I'm especially proud of you for what you are doing in the space, especially in the social media space as well. And I know that you'll be going really far, and it has been an absolute pleasure and a privilege sharing the space with the both of you talking cricket.
You're making me cry. Guys.
Let Nikhil to say his piece.
Yeah, I want to say, so wow, I don't even know where to start. I never thought this day would come, but first of all, to SportsMax for giving an 18-year-old 4 years ago a chance that many people turned down. I mean, SportsMax has given me so much, and I think there's not a lot of words I could say. Especially, I want to thank Ricardo Chambers, who was the first producer to reach out to me, someone who I enjoy, you know, who hosts the show for years, and someone who I thoroughly enjoy learning from. Lance Whitaker and Fazir Mohammed, two stalwarts of the cricket media industry that have inspired me to do what I do now today and pave a pathway. And then, of course, people like Mariah and Donald, who host the show and I think have the toughest job because of the balance they have to create and set the story up for so many. And I also want to give a special thank you to Gerard Morrisili and Monique Lela, who I've worked with as producers for the last couple of years, have always believed in me. And look, everybody behind the scenes at SportsMax, we are just faces, but I got the chance to come to Jamaica and see the production, and without you guys, man, this would be nothing. And obviously the viewers as well, who SportsMax has gone from regional to global. Everywhere I go around the world now, people are telling me, you know, we heard you talking about this. I think SportsMax has brought an interest back in regional sports, and it's going to be a huge loss for me, but I think for West Indies, everything, that there's no more SportsMax. Long may the legacy live.
And my own final words, together with my goldfish, I should add, on behalf of Lance especially, is that it's been a privilege to be given this platform to express perspectives on West Indies cricket particularly, and even broader issues in general. But also, I mean, don't only talk about the legendary, I think you're across the desk from the real legend in Lancelot Whitaker for all the time that he's been in the media and his commitment to the Caribbean and his real dedication to the Caribbean. All I can say in saying my farewells and wishing all of you, those in the control room and everyone associated with the work of putting this program together, to wish you all the best and hope that you can move on to even brighter things. All I can say is that those in sporting administration in the region and their assorted lackeys will be getting their balloons and horns in celebration of the end of one more stream of independent thought and unbiased perspectives, which I think is in serious danger, not just in sport, but generally. But because we're talking sport, it's in serious danger here in the Caribbean, because it seems that this sort of perspective is running out of room. And I want to thank SportsMax and all associated with it for allowing me the opportunity to express my views. Thank you very much, and all the best to everyone.
Well, thanks, Faz. In the words of Michael Jordan, break.
Yeah. So that was the little tribute paid to those folks at SportsMax a few days ago. As you heard, that SportsMax will be closed come, I think it's the 8th of August. So it's just a matter of weeks, but definitely Digital made that announcement a few days ago that Loop News, which closed immediately, and then SportsMax will be closed. Okay, so thanks Fazir for that, and Akil, very much. Thank you very much for that little tribute. So, folks, as indicated, you know, we're joined by no stranger, I should say, to Caribbean media, Caribbean sports in particular. His name is Dr. Adrian Lorde. Dr. Lorde is joining us from, I think it's Bridgetown, Barbados, because sometimes I might say Bridgetown, Barbados, and he may be somewhere else. But good afternoon to you, Dr. Lorde.
Good afternoon, Michael. You can hear me well?
Right. Yes, I'm hearing you very well, Dr. Lorde. Thanks very much for joining us. So as I indicated at the top, that we'll talk to you and you'll basically get your insights as to this enhanced games and why Caribbean RADO, the regional anti-doping organization, which you're a member of. In fact, you're the former chair of Caribbean RADO, and you have. Well, I get to know about Caribbean RADO because of Dr. Adrian Lorde, right? Yeah. So this announcement came out this week in particular, urging the Caribbean in particular, right, to denounce the enhanced games. And I say the enhanced game because a lot of people may not have heard or known about the enhanced games. So I'll just give briefly what the enhanced games. It's basically proposed as an international multi-sport event that intends to allow athletes to use performance-enhancing drugs without being subject to drug tests. It's founded by an Australian businessman, and the games, as they indicated, aim to challenge the traditional model of events like the Olympics, which prohibit the use of such substances. Dr. Lorde, and you probably might be able to speak on many grounds, not just as anti-doping, but as a medical expert as well. Why do you think we should not support the enhanced games?
Well, first of all, good afternoon and thanks for having me. Just briefly, the SportsMax loss to me,
please. Yeah,
a loss of 90 minutes every evening of sports information and education throughout the SportsMax zone, which I always enjoy watching and get information. It's sad to see it go, but we never know what will happen. I sent some sentiments to the hosts and last evening, and I think tears almost came to my eyes as well, because I've contributed, you've contributed, the Caribbean, brought the Caribbean together. Now, the question about the enhanced games, why the enhanced games? Some businessmen got together and decided that, we need to do some things to enhance sport, and using performance enhancing drugs, which is something that I do not recommend and have not done so, being involved in anti-doping for 35 years, the RADO for 20 years. Actually, we celebrated our 20th anniversary earlier this month at our annual general meeting, and the statement that came out as a result of deliberations at the annual general meeting and workshop that we had here in Barbados. And it is against the spirit of sport. It's unethical, it is damaging, it is dangerous, and I think it is irresponsible to ask persons to take substances to enhance their performance that could damage their health and that can give the other persons who are competing against them a disadvantage because they wouldn't have access to the drugs. The Caribbean RADO, which I am now only just an executive member, so I don't speak directly on behalf of the Caribbean RADO, but I can speak on behalf of the Barbados NADO, the National Anti-Doping Commission of Barbados. We also have supported the Caribbean RADO and other national anti-doping organizations in condemning the enhanced games and discouraging our athletes who may be lured to participate because it's big money that they can get, to use drugs which we might not have access to because or the funds to get these drugs, which can affect their ability to take part in future competitions because the use the administration or attempted administration, admission of use of drugs is an anti-doping rule violation. So an association with persons who are taking drugs is also an anti-doping rule violation. So these are things that the athlete need to recognize. It's just not a one-off thing in May next year in Las Vegas, held by the Australian guy, Aaron De Souza, sorry. It is something that we have been fighting with the World Anti-Doping Agency for over 20 years against the use of drugs. And what message does it send to our children, our young aspiring athletes who I saw last week at the Barbados Grand Prix? Do they decide, well, this is the way to go? So it's sending the wrong message.
I'm glad you mentioned the aspect of the young people in particular, because we know, Dr. Lorde, that and young people in particular, they tend to gravitate towards what is considered the big money, and low towards the what I would say the fast train, as it is, because I know that the Australian businessman, and there are some other people in venture capital funds, I should say, venture capital funds, who are putting, and investors who are putting significant money into these enhanced games. Track and field, swimming, and I think track and field and swimming are
weightlifting.
And weightlifting. And the three
Mm-hmm.
sports in particular that they started off with. So how do you think, especially in the Caribbean, we have seen, for example, cricket, where a lot of our young cricketers have gravitated towards playing the shorter form of the game. Once it used to be the ODI, 50 overs, now the T20 and even the T10 to an extent. So how do we ensure that our young talents in the Caribbean do not gravitate towards this enhanced games?
Well, we can only talk to them. Education is where we are focusing on right now. So we are in an education board here in Barbados, our National Anti-Doping Commission. We have, in fact, our Minister of Sports and Community Empowerment has mandated that all of the national federations, and this has nothing to do with enhanced games, must have anti-doping education. And we believe that the first experience of anti-doping should not be when you're tested. So we have embarked in Barbados, or we are embarking on an education program where we will educate the persons about the dangers of using these substances, the sanctions that they're likely to have if they do use a session, and also the temptation that they will get. Because in these games, winning a race is $250,000 US. On the circuit, the Grand Prix, you don't get that type of thing. So $250,000 US dollars if you win a race or win the competition in the case of weightlifting, and $1 million US if you break a world record. You have to balance that against your health and longevity, and look not only at the short-term benefits, if you want to call it, of this competition, but the long-term effects that it may have on you as a person, your family, your country, and your ability to earn more or to earn more respect for your country in the future. So we need to educate them from young, and we're going to start in the primary and secondary schools, in the clubs, so that they will be aware of this. In the short term, however, as this is coming up in less than 12 months' time, we will ensure through our National Olympic Committees and the National Sports Council that our present emerging athletes are informed of the dangers of doping and the benefits of clean sport. Clean sport is what we are really promoting these days, and not look for the short term entertainment value, because they're going to get a lot of viewership. People will be interested in seeing what's going to happen. It's something new, so people would go for it. But I think that we have to look at the ill effects and the dangers. And I think it's a terrible example of sport that we are getting to. You mentioned where, Test cricket went to what ODIs, and you have the T20s and T10s. Let's hope that this does not spread like how, as an innovation, that other people would want to take up. Because unlike the examples you give, this is a health matter, and it's an ethical matter that you need to look at. So we need to emphasize, and it will take the government of Barbados, government of Grenada, Trinidad, Jamaica, all the Caribbean countries, and countries in Central America, South America, USA, I said USA, because the US anti-doping agency, which is in a little thing with WADA right now, let's call it right now, it's going to be held in their country. But all of these countries in Oceania, and we have to get a concerted effort to condemn these games.
And Dr. Lorde, looking at the sort of effects, because I know the Anti-Doping Commission, whether it's in Barbados, which has been around for quite a while, probably longer than even the Caribbean RADO.
25 years.
Right, yeah. For all the work that anti-doping we have done, whether it's in Barbados, the Caribbean as a whole, or even the world anti-doping, don't you think such an enhanced games could really undermine all the work that has been done over the years, especially for calling for clean sports?
Michael, money talks. And that is the mighty dollar is what could lure people to the games. And they must realize what they're really doing to themselves as a result of this, and not get carried away with the almighty dollar. Because I'm not sure these athletes are going to be even properly monitored as those who have been doping. And we've read several books of those persons who have been doping, the Lance Armstrong, how they have their teams. Tell me where an athlete from, I don't even want to call a country, in the Caribbean is going to have a team of chemists and doctors and lab persons to monitor them and to make sure that the effect is not affecting their bodies on a regular basis. And they're not going to be taking just one drug. It will be multi-drug, I don't want to say therapy, multi-drug use, which some may interact with each other and cause other things. Because they could just Google things and read things and use them. And there's no testing, there's no monitoring a person's health. And we have to look at your health first. Your health is a wealth, and we cannot look at just money in this.
Well, it's also interesting, Doc, that with the enhanced games, there's nothing as gender, right? I think they're going based on is it the chromosomes, XX, XY, whatever it is like that. So, so there's no gender, whatever it is like that. So, we'll come back to talk a little more about that. But I wanted to take the opportunity to talk a little more of the 25 years of anti-doping in Barbados. I know there was a big celebration recently. You have been at almost the heartbeat of anti-doping in the Caribbean for a number of years. I recall meeting you on so many of those international meets, whether it's Olympic Games, World Championships, Commonwealth Games, these sort of things. Tell me, and from a Barbados perspective as well, because you have been leading the charge from Barbados, how much we have done, how much we have conquered, how much we have claimed in terms of anti-doping education in the Caribbean.
Yeah, we're still young in this. Barbados National Anti-Doping Commission celebrated 25 years. The World Anti-Doping Agency celebrated last year 20 years. And it is a developing organization, a developing practice, and something you need to keep up to date. Because the athletes are always, they say the athletes are always a step ahead of the anti-dopers. What we have accomplished is recognition and sensitivity in the media by athletes who are taking part in sports, who may even need to use legitimately medication for medical conditions, and they're cautious. Not only the athletes, but the pharmacists we've been educating, the doctors we've been educating, so that we don't have persons inadvertently being doped. We also look at supplement use, which we also recognize as a possible source of doping, and therefore we have sensitized people. We've also done testing. We have, in addition to the commission, which is composed of 10 to 12 persons, we have subcommittees which look at therapeutic use exemption. And those are persons who legitimately have to use medication for medical problems that are on the ban list. We have a results management committee in case of persons who may have used any substance and tested with what's called an adverse analytical finding, because you have what you call a positive test doesn't mean that you've used something illegitimately. It may have been therapeutic or whatever. And of course, appeals committee. In addition to those committees, the government also, through UNESCO, we are one of the signatories to the UNESCO Convention Against Anti-Doping in Sports. And through that, we have a national compliance platform. So sitting around that table with members of the Barbados Olympic Association, the National Anti-Doping Commission, the Caribbean RADO also sits around that table. But we also have the policemen. We have the post office people. We have the customs and immigration people. Customs sitting there. We have persons from the Ministry of Education, persons from the Ministry of Sport. So it's a multifaceted, what we call a committee called the National Compliance Platform, so that everybody will be made aware, because the couriers may be the source of some of these drugs come in. The post office, we have had situations where persons may have brought in something for granny, assigned to granny, and you go and collect this package for granny because granny may have arthritis. And the post office recognizes that this is something they call the National Compliance Platform. They call us in National Anti-Doping, and we pick up these, intercept these drugs, because they do come in quite easily. They're easily sourced on the internet and other places. So those are some of the successes that we have had. We've had persons with anti-doping rule violations over the years. We had a little hiatus a few years ago. We're now getting our feet back together, but we're doing it together better now, so that we will be more recognition and more understanding by the general population. And we're not there to affect sport, stop sport from happening, but we are preaching clean sport.
And I'm glad you mentioned sports, because generally, Dr. Lorde, it is felt that when we talk about anti-doping, we speak specifically about track and field, right? There's this notion that anti-doping, track and field, simply because, especially in the Caribbean, we don't hear about infringement by in other sporting. Well, we don't hear it as how we hear it in track and field, for example. But you can tell us, and I would like you to tell us that as part of the work, whether it's in Barbados or even when you were part of Caribbean Rado, that it involves all sporting events.
Yes, it is all sporting organizations. And in Barbados, all national federations are subjected to anti-doping. They're supposed to have in their constitution this. So we've had not only track and field, but there's aquatics, which is swimming. We have had bodybuilding, which is a non-Olympic sport. Cricket. Frequently, whenever there's competition in the region, test matches or the CPLs, the regional competitions, there's always anti-doping education and re-education of our elite athletes. Also, the young athletes, the under 19 competitions and the other competitions that we have in cricket. And there's also testing where we test on behalf of the International Cricket Council, where when there are test matches and so on in the region. So that happens in cricket, weightlifting and cycling. We go right down the line. So it's not only track and field. All sports are tested and are educated. What is done is that a risk assessment is done. So through the World Anti-Doping Agency, headquartered in Montreal, they have looked at all this world sports and done a risk assessment. That is the risk of an athlete in the 100 meters or in the triathlon or in the heptathlon or in the long jump. What risk based on data they have of doping? What the history of it is? What is the risk in cycling? What's the risk in weightlifting? What's the risk in tennis and table tennis? So the whole gamut of sports. And based on that, we do what's called intelligent testing. So you look at the data that is before us, not only in the Caribbean, throughout the world, and do intelligent testing. And that's where we are going. It doesn't, quantity of tests doesn't really matter these days. It is quality is where you do intelligent testing. So you look for the athlete. And the other issue through the World Anti-Doping Agency, as you know, testing, sample collection, and sample analysis is very expensive. So the World Anti-Doping Agency, recognizing that some countries in the Caribbean, and the Caribbean Rado services 18 countries in the Caribbean. Jamaica and Bahamas have graduated from the Caribbean Rado. Well, Bahamas has, Jamaica was never in, but they have their own organization, and they have their own separate organizations. But we don't get a WADA testing grant where the World Anti-Doping Agency provides a number of tests for each of the countries which WADA would pay for. And these are usually done out of competition. So we, as I mentioned just now, intelligent testing, in competition, people know that they can be tested. But when they're in training, for instance, the Junior Pan Am Games start August 9th in Paraguay. And some of our athletes, well, all of our athletes, Barbadian athletes, have been educated. And some out of competition testing has been done or will be done during this period of time. Because athletes in the build-up to competitions may want to do things to get ahead of the game. And therefore, intelligent testing is what we do now, and not only in track and field.
Wow, interesting. Thank you, Dr. Lorde. Lots of education. Let me just welcome my friend co-host from Toronto, Rudian Sylvan. Rudian, good afternoon to you. Welcome.
Hey, pleasant good afternoon to you, Michael, and Doctor. Pleasant good afternoon to you. I had a question. I've been having this question for many years now. I hear of a lot of doping. I get tested, especially in college. I get it a lot, and I hear about testing and anti-doping. I hear about this thing all the time. The one thing I never really hear about is the education part of the danger of certain substance to your future. And it's something I never really hear about because I think that will help more by letting athletes know upfront the danger of those things. Now, I'm not saying it's not there. I'm just saying I haven't seen that as yet. But I think that is very important because a lot of athletes think that if they do it, it help them for the moment, but they tomorrow the danger it can do to them for them tomorrow. What is your take on that?
Yes, that is well known what the dangers of doping is. And right now, before the Olympics, before Commonwealth Games, all athletes and maybe other competitions, but for these two for sure, are advised and encouraged, and I think it's even mandatory. They need to do what's called anti-doping e-learning, ADEL, and WADA has a course on anti-doping for all athletes, not only athletes, but athlete support personnel. And that's something that we haven't really spoken much about, the athlete support personnel, the managers, the coaches, the trainers, the physios, the doctors, even the managers must complete this course online. And it is a certificate course. You can get it on the World Anti-Doping Agency website. And ADEL is what is called ADEL. And in that, it does mention a lot about the dangers of doping, the ill effects. You see, sometimes when athletes are injured and they want to get back on track, they may try to use substances that are illegal or are banned or prohibited. You have a situation where athletes who may have used these things may have suffered the consequences of these, but we in the public never really know. And this is something that I agree that we need to talk more about so that people could recognize the dangers that occur. For instance, using anabolic steroids can cause infertility, can cause shrinkage of the testes, can cause liver problems, can make you hypertensive. It can cause you to be diabetic. It can affect your brain, your psychological makeup. And you hear about people talk about the roid rage. So it can affect the skin. It can cause baldness, but you have to be careful. Male baldness is one of the things. So those are some of the things that could be serious and not serious, but there are things that can happen. But we see that image of that athlete out there. And in females, you hear the deepening of their voices and infertility again, some of the things that happen. But, you as an athlete might not see or hear of those things, but there are things that happen that person just falls off the scene, and you hear that they've lost their fitness or capability of doing things because the adverse effects. Of course, the more serious complications, of course, is cancer of certain organs and death. So sudden death is always a problem. And that's just one category of drugs. What the athletes sometimes also use is mega doses of prescribed medication for ill effects. And what WADA has done is work with a lot of the pharmaceutical companies to recognize, even before new drugs are put on the market for medical reasons, what are the effects and the possible side effects, and what are the possible enhancement effects. For instance, a drug used for breast cancer, tamoxifen, has been used by athletes who don't have breast cancer. Males could have breast cancer as well as females. What that does is an anti-estrogen, reduces the estrogen level and increases your testosterone level. Right? So these are things that athletes know, the chemists who work with the athletes know, and they use them to the benefit of the athlete and to the disadvantage of Kirani James, who came up from the villages in Grenada and has done well, and of the other athletes like yourself who are clean, who are working hard to do well and to continue to do well. So the going back to your answer, the dangers of doping can be accessed easily through doing this course, but generally that is something that we do speak to when we are talking to our athletes and the athlete support personnel.
Yeah.
Certainly, that's very good. And even with your knowledge of being in this field, we know, when they talk about athletes and when they get tested, you hear they get banned or they get suspended, whichever it might be. And we know that part. Where does that fall on coaches and a camp? Let's just say there's a camp now. You're part of this camp. World Athletics know this is the camp. This is who it is. So how does that fit in now? Because you are saying now the course is there and it's mandatory for, I will assume, the whole camp now to be involved in that to take that mandatory course. Now, if someone in that camp is test positive, does the camp be penalized, or the coaches be penalized, or just that athlete?
Yes. In the case of a games, the coach can lose his accreditation and is asked to leave. In the case of an athlete support person like the coach, then he as well can be banned. And there are 11 anti-doping rule violations. So it's not only about having the athlete tested positive. It's association, it's complicity, it is administration or attempting administration, it is possession of drugs, it's trafficking of drugs. And so all of these 11 all of the 11 anti-doping rule violations do not necessarily apply to the athlete. The athlete support personnel, maybe the person who may be trafficking or the person who may be found with the drugs, did not take it. So he did not take the drugs, but he may be trying to cover up failure to report to doping control when asked to do so, failure to give whereabouts. Those are the athlete's responsibility. But some of the other anti-doping rule violations apply to the athlete support personnel. So there are also sanctions from taking part in any competition, from associating with athletes in that sport or any other sport. When you have a sanction, it is not only for the sport that you were taking part in, it's for all sports. So that is where the problem, where the complication arises, or where, but enough is not usually said about the athlete support personnel. So what you said is correct. You don't hear about it, but it does happen once it can be proven that athlete. So he can lose his license by World Athletics. He can lose his ability to train the athlete. He can use his ability to travel with the athlete, to associate. And if the athlete support associates with someone who has committed an anti-doping rule violation, that athlete has committed a violation as well. So you can't train except for the last 3 months of your sanction. When you're getting back into competition, you then can go back as an athlete to training, but you can't associate with the athlete or coach or trainer who has violated the rules.
I want to go back to a point you made earlier, Doc, regarding that, the incident with the granny, for example, and the importance of working along with other stakeholders. For example, in this case, it was the post office, right? In other cases, it may probably be law enforcement, the police, customs, whoever it is like that. So how important you see, because it's not just about educating the athlete or the sporting organizations, but also educating other stakeholders as well. How important you see that. And I know it was a Barbados scenario, but specifically for the Caribbean.
Yeah, we're encouraging all Caribbean countries for doing this because all stakeholders need to be aware of the and to recognize these possibilities. If we don't alert them, they would not be aware of these things. So it's very important to sensitize all of these stakeholders of the possibilities of doping drugs coming into the system labeled as supplements or vitamins, and the importance of checking to make sure that they're important, that they're what they are, and that is not too difficult. So it's important to recognize that the police, the customs, the couriers are aware of these possibilities, or look at the trends that may be happening, so that we, could try to fight this scourge more. So as you said, yes, it's very important to have all stakeholders, and through the World Anti-Doping Agency and the Caribbean RADO, they have been educating, and UNESCO. The interesting thing about UNESCO is United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, but WADA doesn't have the teeth to ensure through legislation that each country does this thing. So UNESCO created this anti-doping set of rules to give a convention, to give governments teeth. So they are the persons who have been encouraging and insisting that each country, and there are over 196 countries, I think, were saying each country complies to the anti-doping UNESCO Convention on Anti-Doping, where if they don't, there can be sanctions on the countries. So each country doesn't have to have legislation in place to do this, but if you're not compliant, then there are consequences to the country, where the country can't send representatives to games and Olympics and so on, where they can't host such competitions, and where they're representatives of the countries. Like you have persons in Grenada who are on regional and international bodies. If there's a sanction on Grenada, she cannot go to, she will lose her pick, so to speak, on the Pan Am Sports. Okay. So it is a way to try to get everybody on board, to get everybody compliant. It is not a punitive thing. It is a positive thing to try to encourage the majority of athletes who are clean to compete cleanly in sport.
I have a question for you that came in here, Doc, but I want to ask you first regarding what would you say are the challenges for folks involved in the sport, like bodybuilding, weightlifting, these sort of things, especially where in some cases, they have to use supplements or whatever it is. What are the challenges they face in these sports in particular when it comes to anti-doping?
Yeah, there are, as you know, in bodybuilding in particular, there are some sports, some competitions with professional bodybuilding, they're allowed to use, they're not tested for these things. The amateur bodybuilding, they are. So there are challenges where you're seeing persons who have been using substances that are winning or getting prizes and so on. And then they're saying, well, if they're doing it, I'm going to do it too. right? And that is a problem that we get in sport, where people may be getting away, beating the system in some way or the other. So it's something that we need to tighten up and realize that integrity and fair play is what sport is all about. And we have to drive that in our people early in order to make sure that they don't get lured away to compete in the enhanced games, which is starting with 3 sports, but we don't know where it will go. We need to encourage or discourage our athletes from being lured into use of these substances. So it's hard. Peer pressure is not easy.
All right. The question that was is to you, Doc, and is regarding the same enhanced games. In your opinion, what impact could allowing enhancement in sports have on the credibility and reputation of the sporting community?
Very good question. It will destroy sport. It will be dangerous to the athlete and to the country. So it will definitely destroy what we presently consider as sports. I think that is it. Athletes are role models. And if the athletes as a role model are using drugs, are doping, then it could have an effect right down the line to that 11-year-old or 8-year-old who is hoping to be a gymnast or hoping to be a top swimmer, because he sees that as the easy way out, the easy way to get to the top. And mind you, those athletes who are planning, hoping, or maybe invited to take part in the enhanced games, and there are a few athletes who have put their hand up and say, I am taking part already. They did not get there by using drugs, but they want to do superhuman things by doing superhuman performances, by getting superhuman times and distances and weights and so on. And these things that they do will gain them worldwide recognition or reputation, but how long will they last in the sport?
No, certainly, Doc.
Rudy,
No, it is. It is.
probably you might be able to answer. How long will they last?
No, certainly, and you see, Doc, that's why I'm going back where a lot of that information to the athletes, it's not been shown in the public or not been speak about, because what can that do for an unborn child? By you taking, you've been, so a lot of these things like this, that's why I ask that question constantly. This information is not in front of us to say this is what can happen. And I think something like that certainly can.
But Doc, but don't you think that because of the enhanced games, anti-doping may get, and that's whether I'm just throwing that out, whether you think that the whole issue of anti-doping may just become a bigger picture now for people. People may just realize how important anti-doping is and the efforts of WADA and Caribbean RADO and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that
because the enhanced games is scary in its start, right?
Mm.
So I'm saying because of that, people may be more open to understanding the importance of anti-doping.
That is a positive spin on it, and something that I never thought of, but it's quite possible that they may be good, that may come out of Nazareth. Nazareth. The enhance, that is quite possible. And I think that's something that an angle that we could use positively to push the whole anti-doping story. But we don't know yet what will happen and what will come out of it. But it's something that, positive, that I think it's quite possible it could happen.
Mm-hmm. And is there a fear, Doc, that with technology, I mean, probably 10, 15 years ago, we may not have probably even dreamed about something like that. But with technology, and when I say technology, enhanced technology as well, AI and all these sort of things, that it will become a real challenge now for Caribbean rados to be working, the anti-doping commissions in particular, to be working, ensuring that they get the support of the stakeholders, especially governments. The governments in the region have an important role to play, and that probably because of, and again, the spin-off, because of the enhanced games, there may be an opening for more dialogue, more education, even at the level of the schools.
Yes, you talk about AI, and it's an area that I'm now researching, AI and anti-doping. We can use it positively, mainly in the area of recognizing the trends in anti-doping, and detection in anti-doping. AI could be of benefit. It also be of benefit as far as education. But I think AI could get us forward, take us forward in the whole fight and maintaining clean sport. So it's something that I think that we can and should look at. We have to embrace AI as it's here and is the future, and well, is the present. So we need to look at how we can use AI to help us in this anti-doping fight. And I think we can, and we should.
Yep. But I know, Doc, you have to speed off momentarily to get to your next meeting. I'm certain it could be. By the way, Doc, I noticed that even at your age and your stage in life, you still keeping fit. I follow you. You keep fit. Was it a 5K, 10K? What it was? Something you
5K,
did.
5K.
5K. Was a 5K. Well, we may joke about it, but I mean, I know you're pushing folks, and it's a challenge for others because I know there are folks who give you talk and they bet in and they, this, that, and the other. But I realize on the serious part of it is a challenge as well. Guys, it's important, to take care of your body,
Yes.
and even at your stage, you're still, whether it's running, walking, whatever it is, you're still there.
Leading by example. This morning,
Leading by example.
So,
Yeah.
You have to lead by example and encourage others. So even this morning at 5:30, I got my church people together and we did a 5.5 walk. And I try to encourage them to do that every other Saturday morning. And hopefully, in between there, they will do some other healthy things and also eat healthy and maintain the good health. So it's all one thing, a circle that we're going into, and we need to maintain it.
Someone once told me, Doc, and I believe that the Caribbean has just about everything that you can stay healthy. And what climate, food, I mean, just name it. We have it. It's just that we don't use it or we don't maximize it. There are folks who come from further afield, and when they come, hey, you have everything here. You have the warm weather, the food, the beach, whatever. Just name it. You have no snow, whatever it is like that. And as you say, leading by example, Doc. I want to thank you for not just for being on the program, but for all the work you have been doing over the years. As I said, I've met you over the years. I mean, whatever it is, whether it's Commonwealth Games, whatever it is, one person you can expect to be there representing the Caribbean is Dr. Adrian Lorde, right? And I want to thank you for the work you have put in terms of ensuring that, especially during your leadership with the Caribbean Rado, I've followed it quite a bit, the education aspect of it throughout the region and things like that. So and ensuring that anti-doping education remain on the front burner in the region. Some final thoughts from you, Doc?
Well, thank you very much for your kind wishes. I'd just like to say that integrity is a cornerstone for sport and competition. And we are hoping that children do not think that doping is the way to get on the podium. Others have done it without doping. And as Rodion has said, we need to be aware of the dangers of doping and the pleasures of clean competition and clean sport. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Doc, and have a pleasant day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc. Pleasure to have you.
All right, then. Yeah, Rudian, quite interesting. Yes, from Dr. Adrian Lorde. The whole enhanced games, Rudian. I at the start of the program, I mentioned about it. The enhanced games are a proposed international multi-sport event that intends to allow athletes to use performance-enhancing drugs, or PEDs, without being subject to drug tests. It's founded by the Australian businessman Aaron D'Souza. The games aim to challenge the traditional model of events like the Olympics, which prohibit the use of such substances. Some little bits and pieces. The first enhanced games, the initial events will feature three main sports: swimming, the 50 meters and the 100-meter freestyle, and 50-meter and 100-meter butterfly, track, 100 meters, 110-meter and 100-meter hurdles, and 60-meter dash. You see where they're going with that?
Yeah.
And you have weightlifting, snatch, clean, and jerk. And then the athletes will be categorized based on their chromosomes, XX and XY, rather than traditional gender divisions. So no male and female, is X and X and X and Y. So if a female has XX or XY, they will compete with a man, whatever it is like that. So that is why it's so controversial. But why it's gaining some traction for some is that the enhanced game plans to offer significant prize money for events and substantial bonuses, reportedly up to $1 million for breaking, well, I don't want to say world records, because obviously the world records are set by clean athletes, right?
Clean athletes, yeah. So the record should be broken.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Let them set their own record. Let them set their record, right? But events like the 100-meter sprint, 50-meter freestyle, the inaugural event is set for May 21st to the 24th, 2026 at Resorts World Las Vegas in Nevada, and is backed by venture capital funds and other investors. So, really, what they're looking at, I assume, is for men to probably run the 100 meters in probably under 9 seconds then.
Yeah. You see, the thing too, Michael, is a lot of these people who is investing that type of money. No, yeah, there's a question that I've always been asking. I'm on this program that asks the questions: where's the money in sports, especially track and field?
That's where it is.
And it's there.
Yeah,
it's there.
You know?
It's there. The money is there. Just that these people putting it in the wrong wrong direction.
The money for sports.
Yeah.
The money for sports.
For sports. Yeah.
Because those are venture capital.
Yes.
So
and there's and then you ask, you talk about $1 million, and then the question is, have they ever run? Have they ever jump? Have they ever like you see these guys have never done all this stuff. So what they do, they're just using their money to have a laugh, in a sense, to do. Because someone can die doing this, as we just spoke about. And to them, maybe that's what it's about. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they want to see somebody go down. Maybe they want to see
for the year so far, right? For the year so far, how many rockets have been launched and exploded?
And exploded? Yep.
Yeah. Quite a few, eh?
Quite a few.
Check the cost
and
of
that's okay. Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
It's
right?
billion of dollars.
So we have a lot of money, and I keep
There's more
saying we have a lot of money to feed the hungry people.
to feed the hungry people.
We have
Yeah.
a lot of money to support sports. We have a lot of money to support positive things in life.
It just going in the wrong place.
You know, yeah. You know, and
Just the
as you
wrong.
say,
It's not in the
and
wrong
as you say,
place.
sometimes
It's in the wrong place.
yeah,
In the
that's
wrong
true.
initiative. In the wrong initiative.
Yeah, because okay, at the end of the day, we might
Yeah.
say, okay, the Rockets, there's
Have its benefits.
yeah, it
Yeah.
has its benefits.
To them, not to everybody, because I think a rocket needs to go to space. No, I don't think
but I
so.
mean, probably
But
for future technology
like
and
I'm
so
saying,
forth,
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that. But I'm saying, in terms of the regularity, in terms of that, you know, probably
yeah.
every month, a
Every
rocket
yeah,
can
yeah.
explode, and this, that, and then once it explode, they back again with
They're
another
back
one.
again.
Yeah, I know something, right?
Yeah.
And things like that. So, and then we have so many hungry people, right? We have so many initiatives that we can use money to uplift humanity, right?
Yeah.
Probably through sports, you know, through peace initiatives, all these sort of things like that, right? But who are we to, you know,
I
to
know.
talk
And
about
then and then here's the other question: is too much sports, too much money is in one sport, and
well,
one
I mean,
and another sport.
no, well, that's what I'm saying. Sports in
Yeah.
general, right?
Yeah.
Sports in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you might say, for example, the imbalance in terms of when you look at basketball, for example, the millions
Yeah.
that are paid for basketball and American football, right?
But no, last week we have the gentleman on, and suddenly he said something. He's saying in the time of the NBA, there are 5,000 athletes
Yeah, when
or
you're talking
basketball
about
players
yeah,
in the total.
total.
And if you look at the amount of athletes in that timeline in track and field, just using the timeline of when basketball started and put both sports in the same place, how many athletes do you think you have that even go to the Olympics? And we're talking about all the others ones, we're talking about track and field compared to the NBA. And where is the money here compared to where it is, especially where is it now? So certainly the money is there. And I know it's a question we hear every single time. But it's talking about, is it in the right initiative? Is it in the right place?
Yeah.
Is it fair? Some, not some, but we all enjoying the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Earlier, I had a question from Edwin Sam.
Yeah.
Do we know why SportsMax is shutting down? Edwin, I wish I can tell you. It was just an announcement made by Digicel. In fact, the day they released the announcement, it was the same day that Loop News, because Loop News was shut with immediate effect, right? I don't really know. They just gave, well, I assume they said it was due to new business initiative, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's exactly what they said. There was nothing, there was not a depth into what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Right, yeah.
And
so,
the only people who know is those people who are there. And would they say why, or do they know why? But yeah.
Digicel announced the immediate closure of its Caribbean-wide news platform, Loop News, and plans to wind down regional sports broadcasts at SportsMax by August 8th. The telecom giant says the move marks a strategic pivot away from consumer-facing content to a greater focus on enterprise solutions and digital services under its business arm. That's as much as we know.
That's as much as we know.
Yeah. Good afternoon to you as well. I'm Gordon Julian. Flashing the DMV. I know. Yeah. Good afternoon. Yeah. So but as I indicated, it's probably an opportunity for a real good look on the dynamics of the media in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Because we have, I know Radio Antilles, we had CANA, the Caribbean News Agency, CMC, and all these outfits serving the Caribbean over the years. And somehow it's not sustainable. But
is that because of the other entities that is there? like the YouTube and the social and
Well,
other
that
social media platform that may be
could
taking
be,
over where they could see that, because we could have a track and field meet and just have it live on YouTube.
yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it is an opportunity for them to look at hard and fast. Look at what is the future of the Caribbean media landscape.
Media landscape.
In terms of, because it's SportsMax today, it might be somebody tomorrow, right?
Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's something in the plan that they're bringing in that they're not launched yet. Maybe something new is coming in.
Well, you know, but I'm still saying we have to look at it, because
we have to look at
in terms of, it's a good point you raised there in terms of with all these challenges.
All the social platforms. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could that be the issue?
All these sort of things.
Yeah.
That could be factors that could lead towards that, right? And things like that. So therefore, there is need for a conversation in terms of having something that is sustainable.
Yeah.
Sustainable. Yeah. That can serve the Caribbean, that can serve the region, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably a conversation that needs to be had, right? Rudian, well, we still have some national championships that will take place later on. I don't think the US have had theirs as yet, right?
No, the US have not. The Canadian one is the end of the month.
And all of that is because of the lateness in the World Championships, right?
Yeah.
We have the lateness in the World Championships. So,
but it's so amazing too, because the Diamond League also have a pause as well. There's a pause due to most of these nations having their championship. So there's a gap in between. I think this one yesterday could have been the last one, maybe until August. I think we will see one again. I think that was the schedule, or that was the plan, based on what I read. But I don't know if that is still, the case, because most places having the national championship, right? So, yeah, the US is next week,
because I see this.
Yeah.
So we have the today's what, 12th? No, we have Diamond League next week.
Yeah, one next week. Okay.
Yeah, we have London Diamond League.
Okay, London. Okay.
Yeah, we do have London, and then we have the break to August.
Okay, so it's next week and then the break, right? August. Yeah.
Yeah, then the break, and then we go into August for the remainder, because the World Championships is in September, the middle of September, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, September 13th to the 21st.
Yeah, September 13th to the 21st. Yeah.
Yeah. So we still have that. And then we still have to monitor Anderson Peters, because as you would have heard that he was injured.
Yes.
Hopefully he can recover to be back in action at least, because he'll have to represent Grenada in the World Championships in September.
Is he defending?
As World Championship?
Yeah.
Sorry. He lost in the Olympics, right?
He lost in the Olympics, but I think he have the World Championship. So he have an automatic bid.
Yeah, he would have had that bye, right? Have a couple of them who have the bye. And by the way, it was good to see Julian Alfred back in action.
Back in action. I never thought she was off anyways.
Back in the winning ways, right?
Back in the winning, on the podium, on top of the podium. Yeah.
Well, she was at the podium. It's just that
she wasn't on top. Yeah, she's back on top of the podium. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I listen. I knew she was, and I know Jefferson is very good, and I'm not taking that away from her. But I just if when you go back and look at that Prefontaine, Alfred had a bad start. And she was right there. Like the race was that close. So I think she's okay. I think she's okay.
What you thought about the 200 meters? Men's 200.
Yesterday?
Yeah. Nice.
It's a season opener. It's a season opener for him. Season opener for him.
But he really had to fight for that.
He had to run because he knows you have the young man looking at him, so he knows what he had to do, right? Yeah.
Had to.
So he had to do that and again, like I said, I believe he's a phenomenal athlete. He just have to be an athlete and stop doing all the showboat and stuff. You just have to run. Just come and run, and I think that also is part of it. Even in the end, there's no major showboating. He just running, and that's what you do, and that's what I think that makes a great athlete. Some of the stuff,
Listen,
extra stuff you're doing. It's too much, man.
He's not at the caliber of the Usain Bolt. You know what I mean?
No, he will never be. He will never be. Neither one. They will never be there. And I just think, just run track. Just run the track. And listen, I would love to see athletes as humble as Sheldon Fraser. I would love to see athletes just humble. You win, lose. You're just humble. And Julian Alfred, the same thing, just humble. And that man, I would love
Julian
to
Alfred
see.
is not just
Oh my
humble,
gosh!
but she's hungry for.
Yeah.
She's hungry.
Yeah.
For competition.
Yeah, so and that's what I would like to see. I would like to see that type of attitude in the sport. Now that you jump in and also the biggest race I'm looking for, in spite of all the others that we enjoy, is to see Faith run. I love to see that young lady run, and I think she will break the 1500-meter record. I think she will do some. Man, this woman is a phenomenal woman to watch. Phenomenal woman to watch. Yeah.
The 400-meter hurdles will be the 400
women or men.
Yeah, women. Both the 400-meter hurdles and the 400-meter flat, because it seems
the 400-meter flat is going to be
that's what I'm telling you.
It's open. There is for men. Men is open. I don't think there is that one person who can do it. I think it's open.
Best athlete that showed up on that day will win that.
Yeah, and I think that athlete who is mentally ready for that day, I think it's gonna, because was it 3 rounds? It's still hard to do, and it's not easy. You have to train your body to be in a good place, and plus, in spite of what everybody want to say, you want a good lane. Nobody want to be a lane 8. Nobody's coming to lane 8 and break a world record again. I'm sorry, it's not gonna happen again. So certainly, I think that makes a big difference. The 400-meter women, wow, it's
the reason I raised the issue about the women 400 meters, both the 100 and the 400, is because of that. Thank you, Edwin.
If she's not, listen. I've seen Sydney. I watched her. I really like her.
And
she's not winning an open 400 meter with that world class athlete. She's not.
Listen,
she will not win.
So you saying against because you will have
the girl from Bahrain, the one from, is it Bahrain she from?
For what, the flat?
Oh, flat 400, the woman, the girl that she from that African nation country.
Yeah, but I mean, I even put in
but that's the girl from Bahamas, from Barbados.
Paulina.
Yeah, Paulina. I mean, not from Barbados, but Paulina. From Dominica. Yeah, Dominican Republic, Paulina. So I would say if she run the 400, it would be a phenomenal race. Yeah. I don't see her winning it.
You don't see her winning it?
I don't see her winning it, but I promise you, I could see. No, I don't see her winning it. But I can see something happening as the world record breaking. I could see that happening. We could go as fast and say we might see the first time somebody run a 46. That we can go and say yes, we can see. But I don't see her winning. I don't. There's two ladies out there that is phenomenal. They're just phenomenal, and those two ladies are phenomenal. I really love to see Sydney. I even watching her run that 400. I seen her run. I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a good talking point and to talk about it, but it's yeah.
So at the in Eugene, the Prefontaine, she did what, 49,
Yeah.
49, 43,
49.
49, 43, which to me,
Yeah.
and this is not her petty bet.
No, it's not. And I still don't think she had push. She had no push. But it's true.
So I
And
am
that's a fact.
saying,
She had no push. She had no push, and that is true. But I don't know. I don't know.
Edwin, I was about to say that he wanted. Edwin say you want to bet. All right.
I think we should wait your bet on that one, Edwin. I'm up for that one.
This is recording. So
yes. Yeah.
Oh, so she's at the Ed Murphy Classic today, and she's
In Memphis. Yeah, she's running in Memphis.
Right?
Memphis. Yeah. My university, my alma mater.
Oh, the Ed Murphy. But it was yesterday and today, right?
It was yesterday and today. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's doing the 400 flat.
Yeah, she was. She can't say she doing it because I think the 400-meter flat will help her in the hurdles. And we know that. I think not just training it, but competing in it will really help her in the 400-meter hurdles. And I think that's the game plan. Is that will help her in a 400-meter hurdle, not transition her out of the 400-meter hurdles into the 400. I don't think that's what they're doing, but I can be wrong.
Okay, so that's tonight. Actually, it's in Eastern time. It will be around 10 o'clock Eastern time. The actual.
Well, no, so it's late at night.
Well, I'm looking.
No, we're in the same time zone. It's Tennessee.
It's nighttime. Because the 200 starts at 7:30 p.m. So actually, the final event will be the women's 400 meters, which is at 10:15 p.m. EDT. Yeah, so it's late night.
Oh, okay.
Because of probably television or whatever it is, television audience or whatever it is. Wow, so that'll be interesting, right?
Certainly be interesting.
Yeah. So that's something we can look forward to. Because I think even in the, if I'm not mistaken, let me see the men's 400. Oh, we have Stephen Gardner, Quincy Wilson. Wow, it's a nice lineup. Michael Cherry comes back. Okay. Elijah Godwin. So it's a very good starting lineup for the men's version of the 400.
Yeah. Listen, listen, she ran a 48.8 for the season. And that is fast. That is running. So 48.6 last year. The lady from Bahrain, she went she faster. This year she went to 48.6. So it would be good to put them ladies in one pool. That is that's going to be quite an interesting race. So it's going to be it's a good pool of ladies. When you watch the 400-meter hurdles, it's a very good pool of ladies. So.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah.
And for folks, there's boxing action this evening at the Grenada Youth Center. They call it the last man standing. There is only one winner. From 7 p.m. at the Youth Center. It's hosted by the Boxing Association of Grenada, Inc. They call it Showdown Week. Yeah. The last man standing.
Standing.
That's I'm only reading what I see here.
I just see here. That's all you can do.
It probably involves a knockout, right? So that's 7 o'clock tonight at the Grenada Youth Center. Boxing action on at the Grenada Youth Center. All right, Rudian. So that's a wrap for this weekend.
It is.
What thing can we expect coming up?
Well, there's a few, things coming up, and then so let's see how it goes. So it's last week to see Mexico winning CONCACAF, the Gold Cup. That was I thought the US would have done. They
And
wasn't
then we
playing
have
like, you know. Yeah.
yeah. And then, by the way, we have the the FIFA Club World Cup in New Jersey
World
tomorrow, the
Cup, yeah,
final.
in New Jersey.
Chelsea
Yeah.
versus Paris Saint-Germain, PSG.
PSG. That's gonna be a good game.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a very, very good game. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll
And
be a very good game.
the final of the men's Wimbledon Tennis Tournament, the men's final scheduled for Sunday.
Yeah.
I know your boy Djokovic is out.
He's out.
Yeah.
Everybody of mine is out. Everybody they get out so early. Everybody get out.
He's
I
out.
don't know. There's something happening in London that I don't know what's happening over there. But everybody's out.
Right. And I can tell you, folks, that Australia won the toss and elected to bat in the third and final test against West Indies at Sabina Park. There are 3 changes from the previous test for the West Indies. Out is Craig Brathwaite, Kiasi Carty, and Anderson Phillip. And in is Mikel Louis Kevlon Anderson making his debut, and Jomel Warrigan. Australia made 1 change. Scott Boland is in for Nathan Lyon. Okay, so that's what's happening in terms of the test. It's a day-night test, so they're getting ready to start.
Yeah,
it's a day-night test, so they're getting ready to start soon. Well, they already lost the series. That's West Indies lost the series because Australia won in Barbados and then they won in Grenada.
Yeah,
you know, it wasn't too much of a bad call despite losing what in 4 days. I still thought,
it was a good turnout.
It was a good turnout.
It was a good turnout.
It's a test match, and you don't expect.
You don't expect,
yeah,
on a test match, yeah.
By standard, I thought it was a good turnout for the test match in Grenada. The next thing now will be, I assume, the lights, and then hopefully you'll be able to get some more cricket matches at the cricket stadium, right? Yeah. So Rudian, thank you very much for making it on.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
That's your bet. That's your bet, Edwin. Alcatraz
for today? I don't know.
I'm not too
sure on that one. There's something about London over there. I don't know about that 4 sets. I don't know about that 4 sets. But it's possible, Edwin is the guru, and he has something over there that that they have to shake it up and giving him that. So
Alcatraz. He says Alcatraz over Sinner. But by the way, Sinner is ranked number 1.
Alcatraz number 1. That's right. Yeah.
And Alcatraz is number 2.
So 4 set is I don't know.
Right. We'll see from 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. The final. Thank you very much, folks. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Rudian, always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Always.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, folks. So that's all for our program this week. The invitation is yours to join us next week for another program. Until then, do have yourself a pleasant weekend.